I know you've been weird about helping him in the past, but I hope that you'll keep looking out for him in your own way. I go quiet, not sure what else to say. I guess I'm glad that Lord Sandor spoke with Borges, and it is kind of surprising that he would listen to me. I must have made some sense back there. He wouldn't listen to me just because I'm the one who said it, would he? Anyway, I'd better get going, since I still have to check on Lord Sandor. Ah, of course. I'm sorry I held you up. Don't be. It's always a pleasure, Marcel. Same here. He nods and heads upstairs, leaving me behind. I absentmindedly run a hand through my hair, and then decide to deal with it properly. I might be overdoing it, but I like to wash up and get rid of any grime Lady Rosalind's shoe may have left on me. Alright. So we've almost got 20 on everything. Almost. So let's do a couple take inventories. Let's do a little bit more of hauling luggage. Let's clean some rooms. Let's raise our awareness. Let's write some letters. Let's take some more inventory. And haul some more luggage. At this point, I'm gonna try to get everything up to 30. We're halfway through the game, so I really need to, you know, pick up the pace here. My reputation is 25, which is not bad, but it's not good halfway through the game when I want to get up to 90. So, we'll see. I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna get the perfect ending during my second try. I think the third try, I feel the third try I'll be the best equipped at getting a much better ending. Okay. So that went pretty well. So let's clean more rooms, raise more awareness, raise more etiquette, haul some more luggage, shelve some books, take inventory, and charm some shopkeepers. We're doing a different task each day. Oh, cool. It's a Kamal scene. And why do I look angry? The sound of wooden swords smacking against each other fills the garden as Kamal and I exchange blows. I still haven't managed to get a hit on them today, but I feel like I've improved a lot since our last battle. I move in and meet Kamal's next attack with my blade. He pulls away and then strikes. I underestimate the power behind Kamal's strike, and because of that error, my sword is sent flying several feet away. I go to grab it, but Kamal trips me. However, before I hit the ground, Kamal uses his free arm to grab me around the waist and lifts me up into the air. I flail in an attempt to get him to release me, but he's got a good hold on me. He carries me a few steps before dumping me unceremoniously on the grass. Ooh, that's getting kinda frisky there. Then he drops his sword and flaps down next to me, spreading out in a relaxed manner. This doesn't mean you won. No, because I think it does. I sit up and grab the sword Kamal dropped before using it to pretend stab the bee. Kamal responded with an amused grin. Happy now? Kind of. You're way too happy for a dead person, though. Sorry. You do know that you're actually supposed to look sorry when you say sorry, right? Oh, sorry. Oh, you're way too happy for a dead person, though. Sorry. You do know you're actually supposed to look sorry when you say sorry, right? Kamal chuckles, but makes no effort to change expression. Sorry. I laugh in turn. You're impossible. I put the sword down and then lean back, following Kamal's lead and stretching out on the grass in a relaxed manner. It's surprisingly comfortable. I'm almost tempted to take a nap. I look up at the sky and watch the clouds roll by for a few minutes before my thoughts return to the man laying beside me. Kamal really does love fighting. So, how'd he end up working for Lord Sandor? It's probably not the pay. If Lord Sandor pays him more than his other servants, it's probably not much more, and I don't get the sense that Kamal is really motivated by money anyway. Something bad had to have happened in the arena. I'm curious, but it's probably not something Kamal wants to talk about. Still, would it really hurt to ask? He can always just tell me that he doesn't want to talk about it. I turn my head towards Kamal and stare, wondering if I'm bold enough to ask. Feeling my gaze upon him, he turns his head towards me with a more serious expression on his face. Something on your mind? Yeah. I hesitate for a moment, but ultimately go ahead and ask. Hey, Kamal, is it okay if I ask you why you quit being a gladiator? You clearly love fighting. I imagine something pretty bad would have had to happen for you to quit. Kamal looks up at the sky and lets out a powerful sigh. I quickly backtrack, knowing that I probably overstepped my bounds. Never mind, you don't need to answer. It's really none of my business. It's fine, Marcel. If you want to know, I don't mind telling you. I'm just not really sure where to begin. He turns his head towards me. You know, I've never really talked about it before with anyone before. Lord Sander knows a little, but he's never asked for specifics. Kamal turns his attention back towards the sky. He pauses and thinks it over for figuring out how to start. When I was younger, I was overconfident. I won battle after battle and started thinking I was undefeatable. It's embarrassing to admit, but, well, I was definitely developing a bit of a god complex. Yeah, that can happen. Luckily, it was around that time that I stepped into the arena with Amukiki. Oh, Amukiki. I lost, and it wasn't by a small margin either. I'm grateful for that defeat now, since it ultimately taught me to evaluate my abilities more realistically. But back then I was livid. I couldn't understand why I'd lost. I became obsessed. I had to find a way to defeat Amukiki and prove that I was the better fighter. I threw myself into battle after battle, but this time I actually analyzed how I was winning and what I could do better. I improved vastly, but I was convinced that I still wasn't strong enough to beat Amukiki. I decided that I needed to see what I could learn from the fighters in Dingira before I went looking for my rematch. So naturally I traveled to Dingira and I dragged my partner along too. Your partner? I want to ask him if he means a romantic partner or someone he teamed up with in battles, but I lose my nerve. Luckily, my less direct question yields the answer I'm looking for. A man named Joran. We teamed up for a lot of fights, but we were romantically involved at one point too. I was more skilled in one-on-one combat, but Joran had a talent for working with others. He always knew where to position himself and when to strike to give his team members an opening. I respected him as a fighter, and things kind of evolved from there. Kamal pauses. I'm getting off topic. That's okay, I don't mind hearing about Joran if you want to talk about him. Let's just stick to one story at a time. Ooh, that means we might get the story of Joran, like in a later scene. I nod in response. Kamal hesitates a little before picking up where he left off. In Dingira, arena is different. Being a gladiator is a dangerous job regardless of where you do it, but it's more dangerous in Dingira. Kamal's gaze darkens. The people there want to see blood. It's less about who is stronger and more about the spectacle of death. Joran wanted to leave immediately, but I was so focused. Oh, I see where this is going. Joran probably died in the arena. We argued, but ultimately I convinced him to stay and fight by my side. We did well. We won a lot of money and gained a lot of fans in a short amount of time. But then, we entered a tournament together, and you were asked to fight each other to the death. We figured we could cover each other's backs, and even if we had to kill, we wouldn't have to kill each other. That was how it was supposed to work. But that's not how it worked out, isn't it? Kamal shakes his head. No. Once we'd won the main tournament, the Grand Mogul decided to raise the battle's entertainment value. He had us fight each other. I won. One-on-one fights were never Joran's strong points. On top of that, I knew all of Joran's moves and how to exploit them. It wasn't a long fight. The audience wasn't happy about that. Neither was Grand Mogul. He ordered me to kill Joran. But you didn't. There's no way that you would. Oh, Kamal. Do you really believe that? Kamal's question makes me hesitate. Do I really mean what I said? Kamal is nice and I really do believe that he's a good person, but I also think he could do it. Kamal, he knows what he's doing when he picks up a blade. He knows that when he fights, he could potentially kill or injure someone. Every time he went into battle, he accepted that. That's a really tough thing. That is a really, really tough thing to find out about someone that you like. About someone that you might be really interested in. Because on one hand, like, you'd like to believe that the person that you care about, if you care about them that much, would not be capable of doing that. You know, that person would rather die than betray and strike down his own lover, someone he loves. I'd rather die than strike down someone I love. You know, and if he was capable of doing that, you know, that's really, really, that's something that's really, really tough to have to accept, you know? Of course, you know, you'd like to believe that Kamal has learned from that and would never, ever, ever do anything like that again. Ever. Because of, it was such a dark time in his life, and that was the old Kamal, and this is now the new Kamal, and that old Kamal is dead and long gone. That old Kamal died in that tournament with Joren. It's still tough. It's not easy, though. It's not easy to accept that. Because if you're going to have to go into a relationship full-time with Kamal, you have to be able to accept... You have to be able to accept him as he is, warts and all, you know, regardless of what he did in the past. He's not exactly innocent. Of course, I'm not one to judge. I'm not exactly innocent either. I want to say that Kamal wouldn't kill Joren, but it'd be dishonest to pretend I don't have any doubts. Still, is that something Kamal really needs to know? Isn't it better if I just pretend to have a complete confidence in him? I need to speak up now or my silence will speak for me. So what am I going to do? Act confident. Does act confident mean I don't think he actually did it and maybe they killed Joren? I feel like I want to believe that Kamal didn't actually do it and then they executed Joren anyway as punishment. Pretend to have complete confidence in him. Isn't it better if I just pretend to have complete confidence in him? I mean, honesty is always the best policy in a relationship. He was honest with me, I have to be honest with him. Even if the truth hurts, be honest. Ooh. There we go. There we go. Honesty. I want to believe that you wouldn't, but I know things aren't that simple. Yeah. Did you? No, I didn't kill Joren. Good. Good, Kamal. Good. Good. But I didn't spare him without hesitating like I should have either. I was sure that if I didn't go through with it, neither of us would leave the arena alive anyway. And yeah, I mean, I would be willing to do that. You know, if it was me and my lover, my husband, either, you know, we both leave alive or not at all, you know? It might make more sense, oh, it's better for one of you to survive. Now, if we have children, yeah, one of us has to survive for the children. But if we didn't have children, either we both survive or not at all, is how I see things. Either if one of us can die or both of us would die. If only one of us would die or both of us would die, and we didn't have kids, you know, I would rather we both died as opposed to killing my own spouse. I wasn't sure, cause then if you do that, like, you're basically living with that guilt, and that's not living. You know, you might as well, I would probably rather die than live with that guilt. Definitely would rather die than live with that guilt. I wasn't sure that if I didn't go through with it, neither of us would leave the arena alive anyway. Joren thought so too, because he kept telling me that it was okay, that I had to do it. Kamal's gaze darkens. But it wasn't okay. Something like that could never be okay. Yeah, something like that is never okay. Before that moment, I loved the arena. I loved pitting my strength against opponent after opponent, and I loved hearing the crowd roar as I defeated each one. I thought that the crowd wanted the same thing as me. I thought that they wanted to see promising fighters become even stronger by continuously clashing against others that rivaled their strength. For me, it was a way for all of us to better ourselves, to refine our combat until it was essentially a form of art. But that wasn't how it was. The crowd wanted to see blood. They wanted fighters to kill each other for a second of excitement. They didn't care that the person the Grand Mogul ordered me to slay was my friend, my partner, my lover. In fact, they probably did kind of care, but in a twisted way, and thought that that was even more exhilarating. Psychos. They just wanted me to do it. Kill, kill, kill. That's all they could say. My stomach turned and the echoes of their voices in my head made me sick. I hated them. Yeah, that's not cool. I wanted to kill all of them. The men, the women, the children, every last one of them that dared to be a part of that moment. And I wanted to kill myself. Because part of me was so deeply dependent on the crowd's voice that it listened. If Joren hadn't said a word, if his trembling voice hadn't cut through the echoes in my head, I would have done it. I would have forgotten the part of me that is me, and I would let the gladiator do his job. That's... I don't know what to say to Kamal. Everything he just told me. This is a really great backstory. Huge backstory for Kamal. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's tragic, but it's very... I'm very touched that he told me about this. I'm a little shocked. I'm not a good person, Marcel. That's not true. I say it with absolute certainty. I don't need to sort out my thoughts to know that much. Kamal is a good person. This doesn't change that. You can't mean that, not after what I just told you. I bite my lip, fighting back a surge of sadness. Kamal can't think that. I can't let him think that. I roll over on top of him and look him in the eye. He stares back blankly, offering up no resistance. If you're bad, I'm bad too. I'm a... Kamal probably guessed that I was a thief, but saying the actual words to him is hard. Before I can continue, Kamal spreads both of his arms and pulls me to him in a tight hug. It's okay, Marcel. You don't have to say anything. I'm sorry. Thank you. My muscles relax, and only now do I realize how tense I'd been. I think Kamal will be okay for now, but for good measure I repeat myself. You're not a bad person, so don't ever suggest you are again. Is that an order? Yes. Kamal chuckles. I'm not very good at obeying orders. Well, you're going to obey this order, or you'll what, beat me in a fight? Because that wasn't going too well for you earlier. I pinch him to let him know that he's irritating me. He responds with an even more irritating grin than usual. They're so cute. If you don't obey me, if you don't obey it, I will be sad. Kamal's expression turns serious. So don't. Marcel. Kamal reaches for my face and gently brushes a strand of hair to the side. I promise. I nod. Kamal and I go quiet. For a moment I just focus on the rise and fall of his chest. Its steady rhythm lulls me to a sense of security. It takes me several more minutes to realize that I still don't know how Kamal's story ends. Kamal, what happened after he refused to kill Joren? I was forced into slavery for disobeying the Grand Mogul. It didn't last long though. Lord Sander had seen the match and he purchased my freedom. He didn't ask anything in exchange, but he did offer me a job as his bodyguard. I was allowed to refuse. Still, what else was I going to do? I couldn't face being a gladiator anymore, and Joren was gone, so... Joren was gone? Was he killed? No. He blamed himself for what happened to me and didn't feel like he had the right to face me anymore, so he just disappeared. I didn't know anything beyond that for a long time. Oh no, and then Joren's gonna come back. Oh no, the messiness, the drama, the tragic drama. So you know more now? Yeah, he sent me a note about a year ago. Oh, he apologized for abandoning me. He said that in retrospect it was clearly the wrong thing to do. It was too late to change what happened between us, but he hoped that I was able to find some kind of happiness. Shouldn't you be tracking him down or something? Kamal chuckles. No. If he'd wanted to be found, he would have let me know how to contact him. I imagine seeing him again would just hurt him anyway. His letter was a goodbye letter. Joren has moved on with his life, and so have I. I'm happy where I am now, right here with you. I blush slightly at the comment. Kamal doesn't give it time to sink in though. Well, have you had a good rest? Yes? I'm thinking it's time for round 2. You up for it? I nod and Kamal grins. That was such a sweet moment. Not a sweet story, but it was a sweet moment. That's right, rack up those reputations. Management +2. Charm those shopkeepers. Oh, great. If there is one thing I like about Lady Rosalind, it's her ability to drive out guests intent on overstaying their welcome. While none of them are quite as bad as her, they're still generally annoying enough for me to rejoice every time one of them abruptly decides to take their leave. That being said, it bugs me when she tries her sharp verbal jabs on Lord Chiron like she is today. Lord Chiron is still annoying, of course, but I think that he is one of the very few people that Lord Sandor actually wants around. If he wasn't here, the only person Lord Sandor would see on a regular basis is Vincent, and I doubt those encounters would be particularly meaningful. Vincent is a good guy, but he's definitely act like a servant instead of a friend. I guess there is Dr. Borges too. He's nice. Lord Sandor is the problem with that one, though. He probably tries to get their appointments over as quickly as possible, while simultaneously being as grumpy as possible. Having to deal with that must be a pain. I feel sorry for Borges. So yeah, as far as I know, Lord Chiron is the only person Lord Sandor can really talk to. I guess there's not much point in worrying, though. Lord Chiron is exceptionally good at ignoring Lady Rosalind's more cutting comments. He's definitely proving that today, as they take their tea in the garden. I do admire your dedication to Lord Sander. I do. I just think that you've spent a lot of time here lately. Surely you have important business to attend to back in Grand Tree by now? Lord Sander might not say it aloud, but it upset him greatly if you caused a good friend like you any sort of inconvenience. She places a comforting hand on his arm to emphasize her point. I can take care of Lord Sander from now on. You've done more than enough for him, dear. Oh, don't worry. I haven't been home in years. My parents know not to expect anything from me. In fact, I'm fairly certain they've told everyone that I'm attempting a century journey to give the appearance that I'm actually doing something worthwhile with my time. It'd be downright odd if I suddenly decided to show up. Anyway, the point is, Grand Tree will function more than fine without me. He takes a sip of his tea as Lady Rosalind tries to come up with a new counter-response. She clearly hasn't expected him to admit complete incompetence up front. In fact, maybe you should be the one to consider leaving. I'm only able to half stifle an unintentional snicker. Lord Sheeran's eyes dart to mine, but Lord Rosalind seems to be too occupied with his previous statement to notice. He casually covers his mouth to hide a small grin as he turns his attention back to Lady Rosalind. An important person such as yourself must have 1,000 tasks piling up back home by now. She calms down a bit at the explanation and leans back in her chair. Oh, it isn't so much. My husband is a great help in that department. Besides, while I appreciate you being here for him, Lord Sander should at least have one family member by his side through all of this. You know, you're right, of course, but for some reason I got the impression that Lord Sander wasn't really all that close with his family. I don't recall any one of them ever visiting during my extended stays here. Oh, sweetheart, that's only natural. You are an elf. The animosity between humans and elves left over from the 500 Years' War isn't exactly easy to get over. After all, it's only been, just a little over 60 years since then. There are still humans alive today who are forced to live through that time. You can't expect us to forgive things so easily. Lord Sheeran goes silent. He probably expected a lot of things from Lady Rosalind, but I'm sure that wasn't one of them. Oh, don't be like that. I haven't said anything that should be shocking. That's just the way it is. I'm sure that even our little servant friend here holds some bias passed on by his family. Ooh, education, actual value. Nice. Actually, your ladyship, my mother mostly told me stories about the old war, where humans and elves worked together to defeat Faust and his army of demons. Lauren had help from elves too, so while it is true that we fought each other in the past, most of our recent history has involved us working together. If I'm biased, it's in favor of elves. Nice. Nice. Lord Sheeran smiles, Lady Rosalind does not. Oh, no, return. I'll probably get it later for opening my mouth, but I think it was worth it. I'm not going to let her ignore a good chunk of history just so she can try to justify her racism. Well, whatever your personal feelings are, my family generally has a more traditional view of elves. Your viewpoint on humans is actually quite progressive, isn't it, Lord Sheeran? I hear a lot of elves in Grand Tree are still wary of us. Lord Sheeran crosses his arms, trying not to look too displeased. That's true. See, it's not so strange. You can't force change on people. It'll take a while before we're able to fully accept your kind. I suppose I do understand to some extent. It'll take at least several centuries for me to fully accept your kind after all. A chill runs down my spine. Lord Sheeran is still smiling, but there's definitely a different aura about him. He is mad. Humans, you mean? I thought, oh no, I'm fine with humans for the most part. It's your family I take issue with. Lord Sander excluded, of course. Excuse me? For someone who just slung blatant insults, she seems awfully surprised that Lord Sheeran is returning the favor. You talk like you and your family can do no wrong, but you do such horrible things without a second thought. Ridiculous. Really, because I can start listing examples. For instance, I seem to recall how insistent your family was in pressuring Lord Sander to abandon the women he loved when she was pregnant with his child. Oh, the woman in question was only after his money. Whatever feelings he may have had for her were both foolish and fleeting. She probably lied about the child to force a commitment for Lord Sander anyway. He is well rid of her and any spawn she may or may not have produced. It's weird hearing both of them reference me without knowing it's me they're talking about. I try to keep a neutral expression on my face, but it's hard when I'm so irritated. Lord Sander was the one who misled my mother. It wasn't the other way around. How dare she try to claim otherwise? You shame Lord Sander by bringing up that sordid affair, in front of his servant no less. Lord Sheeran downs his tea and then gets up from his chair. He heads toward the door, clapping me on the shoulder as he passes by. Does Lord Sheeran know? I feel like Aloy is somehow put two and two together. Sorry, I'm letting you deal with her for now. He moves on and slams the door on his way inside, leaving me alone with an angry Lady Rosalind. Great, thanks a lot, Lord Sheeran. I'm not exactly pleased with that. Lady Rosalind watches him go and then gets up from her chair. She crosses over to where I am and invades my personal space by getting in my face. Not a word, you hear me, if you speak a word this to anyone. I won't, I swear it. I don't exactly want anyone else knowing my personal history anyway. I'm mostly just surprised that Lord Sander told Lord Sheeran about it. At least that's what I assume must have happened. It would have probably been hard to get information otherwise, considering how intent Lady Rosalind is on keeping it in the past. Lord Sander told Lord Sheeran that he loved her, huh? I wish I could believe that. Lord Rosalind stares me down to enforce her warning before finally backing off. Clean this mess up. I'm returning to my room until dinner. See that I'm not disturbed by you or any of your other servants until then. Yes, your ladyship. She leaves in a huff. I guess that frees up my afternoon to dedicate to actual chores. I head inside after her, figuring I could track down Vincent to tell him that he can let Kamal return to the garden without fear of any incidents with the nobles. I head for the nearest hall when I'm stopped by Licia. She's carrying a couple of huge bags in her arms. Hey, Marcel, help me out, will you? Sure. I take the bigger of the two from her. Thanks. These go to the kitchen, right? Yep, that's right. So, Lady Rosalind looked mad. You're doing? Lord Sheeran's, actually. Really? That's surprising. Well, Lord Sheeran did just reject Lady Rosalind's heartfelt love confession. What? Oh, you're joking. Ugh, I don't believe I actually believed you for a second. I don't either. Hey, it's not my fault. You said it with such a straight face. And by the way, if this was your way of getting back at me for last time, it's pretty lame. Oh, this is only the start. Fair enough. Hey, so Renee and I were thinking. That can't be good. Rude. I'll have you know that we're both geniuses. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, Renee and I were thinking that we'd like to use some of our money to throw a bit of dinner party for us servants. That's generous of you. Yes, yes it is. You may continue praising me. That was it. Sheesh, fine, be that way. We were thinking about waiting until Borges' next visit so we can invite him too. He's really nice and he's done me a few small favors in the past, so... Well, anyway, we were wondering if he'd be willing to help us cook everything when the time came. We want to give the cook the day off if possible. Renee and I can handle it ourselves if that doesn't work for you, but I kind of figured you might be willing. Sure, I don't mind. I could donate a bit of gold to the cause too if you guys are short. Don't worry about that. We've got that part covered. You'll already be helping plenty. We reach the kitchen and set down the bags. Thanks for the help again. It was just carrying a bag. A very heavy bag. It wasn't that bad. You didn't carry it all away from town. You may have very well saved my life, kind sir. I'm sure you would have managed somehow. Maybe. Anyway, I've got it from here. You have my permission to resume whatever you were in the middle of when I kidnapped you. Right, well, as long as I have your permission. See you around, Licia. Yup. Okay. So... I'm not sure if we necessarily need to go over 20 for a bunch of things. Let's start gardening things up for right now. Maybe. You know what? I'm just gonna keep increasing things up to 30 just to be safe. Shelf books. Charm. Management. Etiquette. Tidiness. Awareness. And strength. Start. Education. It's a good thing my education went up. Management. Well, so I'm a third of the way to 90, so that's good.